Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla, let's go over the market, and let's figure out what is happening with Tesla stock and what we of course can expect moving forward into the rest of this week and potentially even the majority of the rest of this month of May. So with all that being said and done, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor as per usual. And of course, my membership section on YouTube is live. The link is down below if you're interested. For just $2.99 a month, you get access to all my intraday thoughts, posts, updates, technical analysis, options flow on Tesla stock every single day live as the market is trading. I constantly update there. So if you're interested in this kind of information, then of course the link is in the description below for just $2.99 a month. But let's just jump right into it. Tesla closing the day down about 3.75%. So we're going to be down almost 4% at 177.81 per share, which unfortunately compared to the market is going to be an underperformance, with the market being pretty much flat for the day. Now, obviously, this is on back news of a few things, right? We had the China numbers coming out on Tesla, which were, again, a little bit on the slower end, of course. We had NVDA, of course, coming in at Tesla once again, though that's, in my opinion, a non-factor. NVDA always comes in on Tesla. And of course, we also had, Lucid reporting earnings yesterday. We have Rivian reporting earnings. Now, Lucid tanked on earnings, by the way. So that could be like, part of it, if you will, right? Lucid tanked at 14% today, right? Rivian reporting earnings seems like they're down another 4% after market right here. So maybe we'll, follow them down a little bit even further tomorrow potentially. But all in all, let's talk about what we can expect and just what today's price action really means. So for the longest time, right? Even back when we were still up here, trading around this like 195-ish range. I was talking about how, I personally think that Tesla needs to cool off, right? And I'll keep going back to that because a lot of people were telling me that it's just going to continue going up. Well, clearly it did not, right? We've been cooling off. We've been kind of, correcting sideways so far / a slow bleed downwards. And unfortunately, I expect that to continue, right? Even on this candle yesterday, I talked about how, there is potential bull case scenario. Yeah, we did close higher than these candles over here. And yeah, if this happens to play out, right? If maybe Elon's interview yesterday, which ended up being a complete non-factor, because I don't think Tesla was mentioned even one time. But, if there's some kind of catalyst, there is a chance that there is this bullish thesis that, it can play out and it can take us back to the low 190s, right? We talked about that. But I always also said how, even though that is a possibility, that's not personally what I expect. And if it does happen, I'd be surprised if it goes really that much higher as well, right? And well, that's essentially what happened, right? We really didn't go much higher at all. We actually went quite the opposite way. And the reason I said that is because we're still overbought. At least we were yesterday. We were still in the overbought territory. The good news now is the fact that we are now leaving overbought territory and we are starting to head down towards that kind of neutral, not overbought, but not oversold territory, just a reset on the daily chart ever since this massive double gap up that we had, obviously just a week and a half ago or so, right? So this is really good. This is good for the stock. It's healthy for the stock. The stochastic is, of course, showing some weakness, which is why, again, I personally still believe that, we're gonna not. I personally don't think Tesla is gonna crash. I don't think we're gonna plummet down to like 160s or anything like that. But with that being said, I do personally believe that there is going to be continued like a sideways to a slow bleed correction moving forward, and potentially for the next week or two even, right? I personally still believe that, unless of course some random catalyst comes out. I do believe that it is going to be a little bit of a slow next week or two, let's just say something like that, right? As we set up for what I believe personally is going to be a pretty bullish June, which of course, like I said many times, June of course is Tesla's best performing month. Of course we will revisit that once again. You can see May, one of the worst months for Tesla, but June, one of the best months for Tesla, actually literally the best month for Tesla. So that's important to understand. I personally believe that that's going to kind of play into the factor here, right? So all in all, the way I look at it, and what I've been saying for the longest time, that we are slowly, which I also mentioned, I think this will be a slow bleed. It'll just annoy bulls, annoy bears, people that are just constantly buying options, thinking that they're going to play that next move down or up. They're just constantly getting whacked by theta, right? The market just going sideways, collecting premium, and it's just kind of doing its thing, and people are just buying options left and right. Unless you're very lucky on that quick short-term swing and you're in and out very quickly, like scalps or even day trades, you're probably losing premium on your options that you're holding, unless they're of course very, very long dated, like leaps, or at least like half a year out. So anyway, but the way I look at it is still this, right? We still have a bit of ways to go down, right? Closer to like the mid to low 170s, right? 175 to about 172. That rough $3-ish price range is still something I'm unfortunately expecting. Like I don't think it'll happen necessarily tomorrow. It might. I mean, timing is always the most impossible factor to predict in the market. Like who knows when it'll happen? But if I had to guess, I would assume it'll be a slow bleed. Maybe end of the week, maybe next week, right? I think it'll be a slow bleed down as we, again, the reason I keep saying these numbers is two reasons, right? 175 to 172. We have that volume profile. I've been talking about this for a long time, ever since we've been pretty much consolidating here, even back here, right? When we were still, in this massive gap up green candle, I talked about this as well, right? This volume profile, which is a point of control, right? A lot of the times when you get, too far past them too quickly, it's pretty common to at some point come back down, fill this fair value gap, which we're pretty much in the process of doing right now. Also come back to the POC, the point of control, right? Which is going to be this volume profile right here, which is like that highest volume profile within like a specific trading range, which again is pretty much around that 172-ish, of course, 173 range, which I expect us to come down to as well, right? And but that's not a bad thing. These are all perfectly normal things, right? Just again, we're cooling off, we're resetting, we're kind of reigniting that next bullish movement, if you will, upwards, right? And of course, that's also going to take this band's regression and of course reset the stock back to kind of a neutral state. But the important to understand is the fact that we're coming from up to down, right? From above to down below, right? So we're essentially going to be turning this white line in the center of this band's regression, which is like that mean reversion line, if you will, which is essentially the 20-day moving average, into support, at least in theory. And that's going to be important to understand. We're turning that into a support, which is going to be good, right? We also still have that 50-day moving average, which is, you can see how both of them are kind of coming into each other, right? The 50-day moving average is still slowly moving its way down. The 20-day moving average, it's not literally the 20-day moving average, but it's very, very close to it. This white line here, right? Which, do I have the 20-day moving average here? I don't think I do, but it's pretty much the same. It's very close. It is moving upwards, right? They're coming into each other. And what do you know? What's right in between them? That volume profile, point of control. It's all these levels are just right there, just, 175 to 172. Just three important levels that in theory should be acting as a support because we're coming from, above back down into them below us, right? They should act as a support. So that's what I expect, right? Again, to make it simple, like, I don't think we'll just go straight down like this. We might. I don't think we will, though. But, who knows? I don't need to time the market with the way I do it. That's why I sell options. I don't need to time the market, right? Buying options is where you're timing the market if you're doing short-term options. Anyways, but the point I'm trying to make here is the fact that, we can just, get a small bounce here, maybe move up here. We're just going to be like slowly kind of like bleeding down like this. And then I think from here, we'll find support around this general area. And I think we'll get a nice, pretty respectable bounce from there. And I think, we'll make our way back up, right? That's kind of what I personally expect, right? Just a slow bleed, little bounces here and there, just, not a straight down movement, just annoy people, annoy the bears, annoy the bulls, get bull traps, get bear traps. And the market, I think it's just going to be the majority of May, at least half of May. It's just going to be soaking up that premium, man. It's just going to be soaking in all the premium and all the greedy people that are just buying options off of this recent massive move and thinking that Tesla's just going to do it again right away. And little do they know, it's just not, right? It's just not. It's just going to consolidate, it's going to eat away their premium, and then by the time all their premiums are eaten away, then Tesla will make that move, And that's kind of what I expect right now, right? The MACD is still looking great on the daily chart, right? Nothing to really, be too worried about, right? Bullish crossover is still looking great. RSI is looking, fine. Stochastic is the one that's looking a little bit suspicious, which is why that momentum is slowly drying up right now, and I do believe the momentum will continue drying up as we continue slowly going sideways and or bleeding downwards, right? We have the weekly time frame here, which, we are getting rejected by that mean reversion line, right? You can see here, the white line right here, right? This weekend, last week, we both got rejected by it right here. You can see, which is important. And this volume profile that we did retest, which is now unfortunately turning into a support, which, we have another one right below us right here, which is going to be the one that I've been talking about for quite a while. Again, that's 172.3-ish range, which we are slowly but surely coming back down into, and I do think we'll get closer and closer. We still have that MACD bullish crossover in the weekly, but, it is getting a little bit less convincing. But, we'll see how the week closes. There's still a lot of time in this week. We'll see how it closes, and, we'll revisit that, I guess, on Friday, where, it actually matters, right? Based on how the weekly candle does finally close. So that's kind of the main thing I'm looking at right now, ladies and gentlemen. There's not really too much more to talk about. Like, another good example is the 1 hour chart. 1 hour chart gives you a same idea as to what I just talked about, right? With, the oversold, overbought levels on the band's regression. But the good thing here is the fact that it's, it gives you the idea for the next, 24 to 48 hours, if you will, right? Or like 2 days, up to 2 days, maybe 3 of trading. And the way it looks like this is right now, yesterday we were very much overbought on the 1 hour. You can see we pushed up well into overbought territories. We sold off aggressively, kind of hugged the top line of it, came back down, and now we're hugging the bottom line of it. And now we're starting to slowly enter on the 1 hour chart. And important to understand, 1 hour chart, we're starting to enter oversold territories. We're not really just there just yet, but we're kind of, knocking on the door, if you will, of being oversold here. So, we can bleed down a little bit further. We can potentially go back down to about 176, maybe even 175, maybe even as early as tomorrow if Rivian decides to pull us down with it, right? Which it is so far down about 4%. So there is a possibility of that. But I do expect, we come down to, let's say, maybe around, this level right here, like, 175, 175, then we bounce again, come back up here, 178, maybe close to 180s again, and then maybe we come back down finally. Something like this is what I expect right now moving forward over the next, week, let's just say, ish, right? Something like that. Anyway, that's kind of the idea, right? In terms of options flow, I mean, nothing really to write home about. The main, I've been saying this for like weeks now, and I'll continue saying this for weeks until it's no longer the case. But the main thing I'm still noticing is the fact that if bullish whales, show their face, let's just say, in the options chain, it has always been for a while now, and it continues to be them buying leaps, right? For instance, down here you can see, 2.3 million. It's an 80 strike, so it's like ridiculously in the money. But, nonetheless, 2.3 million 80 strike coming out for January 16th of 2026. Obviously, pretty much 2 years out, ridiculously in the money. So it's very, very safe. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if this the underlying value of this option essentially moves in tandem with the stock. Maybe even better than that, honestly, with how ridiculously in the money and how far out it is. But another one came in, though, of course, being 1 million over here, 190 call above the ask, of course, 1 million for January 17th, but this is 2025, so just under a year out, right? 190 call, so that's a little bit more convincing. And another one over here, 1.1 million call came in right over here, right? 300 strike, but also this time 2026 of January. So again, the whales, when they do step in, when I do see whales, it's almost always like 8 out of 10 times a leap. 2025, 2026. But it seems like whales are stocking up. It seems like whales are getting ready, and they do believe that Tesla truly is in that phase right now, like Elon said, where they're in that phase where they're in between two large growth cycles, two large growth like curves, if you will. And it seems like the whales agree with that. And it seems like they do believe that, fast forward a year, maybe two, Tesla should be substantially higher than it is now. It seems like the whales agree. So we'll see if that happens to be the case or not moving forward, of course. But if you're interested, by the way, in these option chain flow, analysis and, these kind of, services, if you will, Cheddarflow and of course Blackbox. I have a link to both of them down below. Cheddarflow is a little bit easier to read in my opinion, but Blackbox is has a little bit more information. So it really depends on, they're both great, just depends on which one you want to use. I have a link to them down below for both of them with a discount if you use my link. So definitely check it out if you're interested in that. But with all that being said and done, thank you so much for watching. That's all for this video. So let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you tomorrow as per usual. Peace.